What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here with this on tap for you guys today. ESPN's wild MVP picks for Russell Wilson make some sense, and yeah, your eyes are not deceiving you. Brett Rypien, we're going to break that down, plus an interesting UDFA Darkhorse to keep an eye on. That's at the tail end of today's show. But first up, let's look at ESPN's MVP picks. They made 13 selections based on previous MVP winners, so they had some fun when they looked back at previous years and said who could be this year's, for example, Peyton Manning. And they compared Russell Wilson to what Peyton did in 2013, second year with the Broncos, and was able to do, well, we know what he was able to do. But Russell Wilson has never earned an MVP vote, and we're going to look at some stats on that in a little bit. But first, let's go right to the horse's mouth. Bill Barnwell, ESPN, saying, just as Manning was able to elevate a group with Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, Wes Welker, and Julius Thomas into one of the league's most devastating passing attacks, though Wilson will get to throw to Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and Tim Patrick. So when you look at the MVP odds right now, Russell Wilson sits in the 7th spot behind Joe Burrow and tied with Dak Prescott at plus 1,600. That means if you bet $100, you'd win $1,600. So he's kind of a little bit off people's radars, which I understand when you come off a season like Russ did last year. It wasn't his best stuff, and you're on a new team. But at the same time, I feel like when you're on a new team, you can maybe garner a little bit more attention because it's new Russ. It's Mile High Russ. It's no longer rainy Seattle Russ. But if you guys want to see Russell Wilson win the MVP award this season, make sure to like today's video. We're going to look at some stats in just a second, but I thought it'd be fun to put some good energy out there for Russ in 2022, so make sure to hit the thumbs up icon. So, speaking about Russell Wilson here, I pulled together some stats, and what I did here was I've got the 3 most previous MVP winners, Aaron Rodgers in 2021 and 2020, Lamar Jackson in 2019, and then I took Russell Wilson's best year, in my opinion, which is 2020, right? That's when Russ really started to cook early on, and when you compare what he did at his best compared to the last 3 MVP winners, he's put together MVP caliber seasons before. It's just that it always did not, he was not the only one under the spotlight, right? Back in 2020, you had Aaron Rodgers throw for more touchdowns and fewer interceptions, even though Russ had more touchdowns than 2021 Rodgers. He's always just butted heads with someone who had a bit of a better season, like Lamar did in 2019 or Mahomes back in 2018. But at the end of the day, Russell Wilson has the tools and the pieces around him to win an MVP. You have Javonte Williams in the backfield, one of the best wide receiver rooms in the NFL, probably the most, what's the word I'm looking for, stable or spread out, deep? Yeah, let's go. The most deep wide receiver room in the league with Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and Tim Patrick, all arguably making a case to be the wide receiver 1 on this team. They could have, all 3 could be wide receiver 1s on a handful of other teams. KJ Hamler can't even get his name on screen half the time because of how much talent is above him. Plus, you got Albert Okwuegbunam and Greg Dulcich at the tight end spot. So, there's a lot of reasons why Russ can win MVP right now this year, but that's a long list of reasons when you look at the arsenal around him. But do you guys think Russell Wilson will ever win an MVP award at Mile High? Y for yes, N for no. Broncos country, let me know down in the comments section. Broncos country. Let's ride. But let me know down in the comments if you think Russell Wilson will ever win the MVP award in Denver. Coming up next, maybe the reason why you clicked on to today's show, Brett Rypien. Yep, Brett Rypien for MVP. That was a part of ESPN's article. We're going to break that all down and more in just a few moments. But first, if you have not subscribed to the channel already, please make sure you go ahead and do so. We recently crossed 8,300 subs, and my boss actually got pretty ticked off of me for leaking and airing out the little nudge threat he gave me about getting over that number. But I don't care. I don't give a shit. We're moving our way to 8,500 subs. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got the best daily Broncos YouTube content out there for the country. Oh boy. Brett Rypien. ESPN included the Boise State legend as an NFL MVP candidate. Now, don't take this and run the wrong direction with it. What they did was they made comparisons to previous MVP winners. And if you don't remember, when Kurt Warner won it back in 99, he entered the league coming from Europe's NFL and having a career total of like 8 passing attempts walking into that season. So no one had Kurt Warner on their radar, which if you're going to make the comparison to someone this year, no one's got Brett Rypien on their radar. Both quarterbacks went undrafted. Here's what Barnwell said in his write-up. Now, I know what you're saying. It's preposterous to suggest Rypien could win MVP. So many things would have to happen and not happen to clear a path for a guy who looks like he probably isn't an NFL caliber starting quarterback. And yet, Warner was older, less experienced at the NFL level, and had stiffer competition for the would-be starting job in terms of a mid-round pick. Listen, you got to give it to Bill Barnwell. It's not easy to try and find a UDFA MVP candidate out there. But I'm happy he went with Brett Rypien because maybe people walk away with this going, yeah, Brett Rypien actually, like, here in Broncos country, like, better than maybe he's not that good on it. I mean, I don't want to rag on the guy. I mean, look what he's done in his career so far. He's had one start, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. How about this? This is what I want my official statement to be on the guy. When you're an undrafted free agent and you had 3 seasons under your belt, you're playing with house money. So shout out to him for getting this far in his career, and that's a testament to the work he's put into it and the ability to just stick around and go, yeah, you guys like me enough that you don't want to cut me. Well, or at least put me on the practice squad. But like I mentioned for Russ, Rypien, if this bizarre scenario were to happen where Russ, knock on wood, gets injured and Rypien is the next Kurt Warner, I'm not going to say it makes sense or anything like that, but he would at least be walking into a pretty good situation with Javonte Williams entering his second season, Jerry Jeudy coming back healthy, Courtland Sutton hopefully looking more reliable than the second half of the year last year than he did, Tim Patrick being the glue guy, and Okuwebunam having the ability to be the lone tight end one and make that next step forward. All right, that's a lot of pretty surefire power right there. So I'm thinking ahead. Do not draft your fantasy team right now. This is not what this question is about. But I am thinking ahead here. Which Broncos player do you want on your fantasy team? I would have gone Javonte Williams round 2 if Melvin Gordon was not re-signed. But Gordon's going to steal 15-ish, 20% of snaps from Javonte Williams, and that's too high of a number for me to take a running back in round number 2. But let me know which player you want on your fantasy team this year. But do not draft your team in July. That's preposterous. All right, now, last up on the show, we've got a UDFA Darkhorse to keep an eye on as one wide receiver has been putting in some time with Russell Wilson this offseason, training with Russ at his home, at his laboratory in California. So we're going to take a look at that. Plus, it may be making a case for a UDFA to just make the roster and keep the streak alive. But Andrew Mason, who does a fantastic job of keeping up and covering the team, tweeting out, Broncos rookie wide receivers Brandon Johnson and Montrell Washington are working out with Russell Wilson. And then he included a clip to the video from Russell Wilson's IG. Now, Brandon Johnson, the UDFA, Montrell Washington, a day 3 pick from the 2022 NFL Draft. So, if you don't know much about Brandon Johnson, that's all right. That tends to be the case with UDFAs. He played for the Tennessee Volunteers, my alma mater, for a handful of years, so I watched him play in front of me at Neyland Stadium, and then he played this past season for Central Florida, where he went off for 12 touchdowns, 11 touchdowns. Listen, what he did in college, I don't think is a very good representation of the type of player he is. He had 11 touchdowns at Central Florida, just 1 at his time in Knoxville. But 1,500 yards, he's a 6'2", big body receiver who's going to go up and beat you to the high point of the ball and come down with it. He's not a slot guy. He's not a super speedy dude who can get a lot of yards after the catch. But he's a physical wide receiver that's definitely going to come into training camp and look to hit someone. Right? And when you check out this depth chart here, all 4 names, all 4 faces right there, locks to make the roster. Montrell Washington, also a lock. That's 5 wide receivers now. I'm going to toss in Kendall Hinton, Seth Williams, Travis Fulgham, Tyree Cleveland, and Brandon Johnson as the other guys who could steal the wide receiver 6 spot if Peyton goes with 6 wide receivers, which he most likely will. I think 5 is probably too skinny, but those are that's the battle we've got going on here. So this is definitely going to light the comment section up. One way or another, let's go Brandon, all right? Let's go Brandon Johnson. Of course, that's who we're talking about. But let's go Johnson. More importantly, let's go for a UDFA to make this roster, to keep the streak alive. I think that's one of the coolest things about the Broncos and their ability to find talent after the draft, because there's always great UDFAs out there, some legends who went undrafted. So for Denver to find another UDFA to make this roster would be pretty impressive. So let me pose this question to you before we get on out of here. We got some shout-outs coming up in just a second, so make sure you don't click out of this just yet. But will a UDFA make the 53-man roster? 1 for yes or 2 for no. Sound off in the comment section. I just wanted to give some shout-outs before we got on out of here, because shout out to all of you guys watching right now in the dog days of the summer. Tan Van Turel, I hope I pronounced that correct. Shout out to you, my guy. Ronald, Michael Wilson are always in the comments section. Florida Golf Diver, appreciate you tuning in. Scott's a frequent comment sectioner. Dayton McClure, David Lipscomb, the MMG Laker, T. Brody, what up, my guy? Paul. Then we've got Desert Dong Senpai. Thank you, and thank you for watching. Nate Williams, Raymond Shelby. Bill L is the comment section MVP right now. He's hard to compete with in terms of the velocity, the volume of comments he'll put down in there. Rod Williams, Octavio, Rodriguez, Mixed Personality Jackson. Hopefully you're in a good mood right now. Happy Jackson. Jacob Youngblood. It's a longtime viewer here at the channel. Shadow Jack and Chad Reno. Shout out to all of you guys. If you want to get a shout out on another Broncos breakdown, really simple stuff. Subscribe, comment, let me see your face down in the comments, or let me see your name down in the comments section. Get yourself on my radar, and we'll get you on screen for a future Broncos breakdown.